All right, so I'm going to try my second attempt at this whole map business where I want to transform JSON into HTML dynamically in the browser. So let's do this again. Let's open my code pen, and I'm just going to create a new pen. I'm then going to go to tachyons, which is basically like Bootstrap. I'm going to grab the component that I like, which is this. So I want this, and they provide that HTML right here. So I'm going to grab all of that HTML, copy, paste here in my code pen. So now that I pasted it, I should see something. So this is how it would look like by default without any CSS. So now I need their CSS. So let's go to their home page, and they have a getting started here. So I need to include their CSS. So copy that, and let's put it in here. There. So now it should look, there it is. Okay, great. So what's essentially going to happen is when I fetch the JSON data, which I'm going to get from this website here, get random user generator, and let me just find their how to fetch multiple people. Or was it now? Oh, there it is, multiple users. So I don't want 5,000, I just want to begin with 3. There we go. So as you can see here, I have an array. Well, first of all, I have an object, and inside that object, I have the key of results and a huge array for the value of that results. I also have some other properties after that array ends, which I think is here. So here the array ends here, but then I have some more properties. So there's another info there, another key called info, and the value of that is an object. So what I'm going to do is I want to transform each of these 3 people in the array into HTML. So at the end of the day, this HTML will be created dynamically depending on how many people I get. So first of all, the process is I'm going to examine the markup, the HTML markup, and I'm going to see what HTML markup encapsulates the entire row. And I can tell that here, for example, the article tag looks like that represents 1 entry. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to delete every other entry here and just leave 1 as a template for me. Okay. So now I'm left with 1. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to fetch this API, fetch that JSON data. Now, over the wire, it doesn't come as JSON, like pure JSON. It comes as one big, huge string, which is represented by this response, which means I have to actually transform it into JavaScript objects, which is what this res.json does. And then once I get that, I actually have the objects. I can work with it now. And just to test, I'm just going to say console log data. And as you can see, here's the console, and I actually have the data now. Okay. Now, I only want the people. I don't want the other info. I just want the value of the results. So if data represents this whole object, how do I get the value of the right-hand side of results? It would be data dot results, right? So if I say console log data dot results, I should just get the array. Let's see here. Yep. And you can see here is just the array. There's the ending array bracket, and then the beginning array bracket is up here. I no longer have that info key stuff. Okay, great. Let's assign that array to let's assign that array to a variable or a constant. Let's call it const people equals data.results. Okay, so imagine here this people array. Imagine, I'm just going to put in brackets, that you have an array of currently 3 people, right? And inside that huge array are all of these things. You have name, you have picture, and all that. So that's what's happening right now. And I want to translate this stuff into HTML. How am I going to do that? So let's grab, what I'm eventually going to do is I'm going to do an inner HTML on this main tag, and I'm going to dynamically insert this article. which I just cut right there. Okay, so our HTML looks pretty plain right now. And here is where I'm going to change that. So const main equals document dot query selector, and we're going to just look for the main tag. Okay, so we got our main tag, and then I'm going to say this: main dot inner HTML equals backticks. Now, if I just paste in this, watch what happens here. Okay, that makes sense, right? I'm only pasting one article, and that's why the one article tag shows up. But I want all of this markup to be reproduced for every person. So I don't exactly want this just yet. What I need to say is take my array of people and map over it, dot map. And for each person, and so now imagine the person is a single object, right? The first, let's take the first object here, which has all the names and pictures. For each person, I now want you to return, and this is the big idea. Remember how map returns something? It always returns something to make a new array, right? That's how map is different from for each. So just to make it simple, if I just say hello right here, it's returning hello. I should see in the inner HTML 3 hellos, and I do. Okay. Now, obviously I could put some markup here, like H1, right? And it's giving me 3 hellos. Notice it's separated by the commas. But why don't we just expand that with the markup that I cut and paste? So let's just paste in our markup instead of the hello, and now we get this. Okay. Now, how do we make that dynamic? Well, I want to replace the picture, I want to replace the name, I want to replace this Twitter handle, for example. How can I do that? Well, because I'm using template literals, and this is the advantage of using template literals, I can use the $sign squiggly bracket, right? So instead of the hard coding the name here, I can say $sign squiggly bracket and then put in the name of my person dot whatever. So if we looked at the example of this array, imagine this first object here is a person object. So it's sort of like saying let person equals this entire object. So the question is, how do I dynamically grab the name? So where's the name here? It's under first and last. So I want Sean Olson. However, notice that Sean Olson is itself inside an object inside of this name. Okay, so that means I'd have to say person. So if this represents one person, that means I have to say person dot name dot first in order to get Sean. Let's try that. So back here it would be person dot name dot first. Let's see what happens. Oh, yeah, so there you go. So we're getting that. Let's do the same thing for the last name. Dot name dot last. Great. Let's do something with these commas. I don't like these commas, and if you remember, we have one entire array of strings here, right? The dot map essentially is like that picture, that emoji picture that I showed you earlier, where input is, let's say, 3 things, and output is also 3 things. So let's just join our strings. So the comma should be gone. There it is. Okay, let's do the same thing for the Twitter handle. Maybe we'll just use something here called username. Looks good. So that means I'd have to say person.login.username. So where's that YG? Here it is. So I'd say person.username.login. Let's see if that works. Oh, something's wrong. Let's see. Did I say it right? Oh, other way. .login.username. There we go. And there we go. Okay. Let's change that picture. So what is the picture? The picture is found under .picture. I'll use the thumbnail one, which is the small one, right? So this is just a link to that picture. Let's just use .picture.thumbnail for the image. So instead of this hard-coded image, which we'll now delete, we can now say person.picture.thumbnail. Let's see what happens. Beautiful. So now the beautiful thing is I can just change this number 3 to, let's say, 10, and it automatically dynamically creates all 10, just like that. So that's what I want to show you. The big idea is the map is returning an array of strings, in this case. Strings, and each string is basically markup, but we're substituting the values using the template literals. And the reason why you want to use the backticks here instead of the traditional concatenation is because if I were to use, you know, the regular double strings, first of all, I notice I'm going to have a heck of a time with these double strings, double quotes, because I'd have to escape them each time, which is not cool. Second of all, if this whole entire markup, if I cut that and pasted it in here, causing multi-lines, these will not like the multi-lines, because I'd have to escape it as well to make that work, and that's not pretty at all. But yeah, so the big idea is the .map returns a string. So originally we had our objects, and then just like that emoji picture at the beginning of the video, it's now giving me string, where inside of each string is all of this markup here. There, all of this markup here represented by the article tag. So I could say article, etc. Right? And then by using the .join, we join all of the article tags together into one humongous string, put it inside the inner HTML of the main, and then you get that. All right, hope you learned something, but that is basically the advanced JavaScript course in a nutshell.